Let's pray before I start. Heavenly Father, I pray that the meditations of all our minds and the words of my mouth would be glorifying to you. Amen. Great. I wonder if I asked you now to take a moment and tell me what animal you would describe yourself as. I wonder what answers we might get. Maybe for a more accurate answer, I should ask one of your friends or perhaps someone in your family. I wonder what they might say about you or what you might say about yourself. A loyal dog, maybe. A soulful, perhaps rather selfish cat. What about an athletic, fast cheetah rushing around all the time? Maybe some people see themselves as rather small and insignificant ants. Did you know that the animal that we are most likened to in the Bible is none of these? Neither is it an elegant eagle soaring high above in the clouds, looking rather majestic in their independence. I'm afraid the animal that we are most likened to is a sheep. And if you think about it, it's pretty much spot on. For as much as we like to think of ourselves as independent, free spirits with original thought, we're often led and influenced by thousands of subliminal influences crashing into our lives. Whether it's ads on TV telling us what we ought to buy, peer groups at school telling us what we ought to think, or family and friends telling us who we really are. And more often than not, we do what sheep do best, and that's follow the crowd and get horribly lost. But there's an alternative to this herd mentality, and we've just had it read to us. If you would like to look down with me, please, at John 10, verse 9. John 10, verse 9. And it says, I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in and go out and find pasture. Jesus offers to shepherd us in a different way to what the world offers. And as those of us who are in his sheep pen can testify, it is the only place on God's earth where we can experience true contentment, real peace, and a deep, abiding joy. And it's our prayer that for those of us who have not yet entered through this gate and chosen this path to follow Jesus, that this radical alternative might be a little clearer today. You see, a gate presents us with a choice, doesn't it? We can walk through a gate, or we can turn around and head off in another direction. The non-believer walked through that gate for the first time when they gave their heart to Jesus. But the wonderful thing about this verse is that that same believer still needs to decide to walk through it morning after morning, because the need to listen to and respond to the Good Shepherd's voice is a daily commitment, not just a one-off act. So what a radical statement this is. We shouldn't really just skate over it quickly. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in and go out and find pasture. Imagine for a moment, if you will, going into work one day or popping into the supermarket and telling people there that you are the only way to God. If people want to find God, they'll have to come through you. Well, talk about social distancing. I think distances of far more than 1.5 meters may well open up. Today we might just be called mad. People may laugh at this fairly harmless religious mumbo-jumbo. But in Jesus' day, things would have been very, very different indeed. For Jesus to say he is the gateway to God was nothing short of criminal as far as Jewish people were concerned. It was outrageous, radical, and very controversial for two reasons. Firstly, by saying, I am anything, the bread of life, the way, the truth, and the life, the vine, the gate. Jesus is invoking the very name of God. He's using the name of God, I am, or Yahweh, about himself. I am who I am, God said in Exodus 3. Only God can say this about himself. This would have been very offensive for the Jews to hear. In fact, later in John chapter 10, we read as Jesus says, I've shown you many miracles from the Father. For which of these do you stone me? We're not stoning you for any of these, replied the Jews, but for blasphemy, because you, a mere man, claim to be God. So, controversial firstly, because Jesus was equating himself to God. Secondly then, it's controversial because it is so exclusive. It discounts all other means of getting to God. I am the gate. It throws onto the religious rubbish heap all other possible gates, past and future. Look down, if you would, for a moment to verse 8. All who ever came before me were thieves and robbers. So Jesus is saying that he is, has always been, and will always be the only way to be saved. Not comfortable listening for Jesus' Jewish audience back then, nor indeed for many people today. It smacks of arrogance and dogmatism. Well, let's look closely at the verse to see if we can understand it any better, because our God is not an arrogant, dogmatic God, but rather a loving Father who created us, knows us, and wants to be involved in every aspect of our lives. Just like an earthly parent would be hurt and maligned if their children ignored him, only took the good things and disappeared. So our God is jealous too, jealous for our hearts and souls, that we don't give them to another. So then, 3 points to help us unpack this seemingly simple verse, yet so profound in significance. John 10 verse 9 says, I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in and go out and find pasture. Jesus offers 3 unique things. Firstly then, security of salvation. Whoever enters through me will be saved. Security from what, you may want to ask? Well, we've established that we are sheep and fairly dim at times and follow other sheep, following the crowd, making the same mistakes time after time. I wonder where you look for security. We all crave it, don't we? I know I do. Job security is very important to me. I do not know how I would cope if I were made redundant. I'm amazed at some people who work in the private sector and seem to bounce from redundancy to redundancy. I think it would finish me off. Financial security is important to me as well, saving for a pension. The security that comes from my health. Ask anyone who knows me, and I'm slightly maniacal about my health, fitness and diet. Well, perhaps less diet. I'm sure I'm as excited as John Wright is about getting back to all those cakes very soon. I don't know where you look for your security. It might be in academic prowess, the best results, the best university, the best internship, then to get the best job offer. Maybe it's in promotion. If I get to that rung on the internal ladder, my life will be sorted. Maybe it is marriage, or having children, or exotic holidays. Maybe it's that forever kitchen. Well, my dear sheep-like friends, I'm as captivated by all these things as you are, maybe even more so. And as you've heard from Reuben many times before, and I know he'd want me to stress this, there is nothing wrong with any of these things. In fact, you might say it's irresponsible not to save for a pension. We should be keeping fit and active. And it's important to do our best in exams. What a very poor Christian witness it is if we are slovenly and lazy towards our work. No, we must work at everything as though serving the Lord. And having a nice kitchen to cook for family and friends is great. Being married and having children is a wonderful Christian calling. Incidentally, I heard a friend say recently that having children is the best way to ruin your life. Anyway, all these things are great. Let's not feel guilty about them. So here's the but. Money, jobs, kitchens, holidays, A-levels, an investment property, and all these other worthwhile things are not the rescuer. They cannot save us from the enemy. They can, after all, be lost in an instant, can't they? Jesus is our rescuer. He is the one who saves us. He saves us from the real enemy, which is the wrath of God and our deserved punishment for wandering off like those silly sheep and ignoring him. We're all in the wrong, aren't we? We've all strayed like sheep and fouled up. We know from the words of John, if we claim to be without sin, we deceive ourselves and the truth is not in us. You see, the enemy is not poverty, childlessness, an old kitchen, a boring job, not being very cool at school, or a third-class degree from a second-rate university. Neither is it having a terminal illness or anything else. No, the enemy is what awaits us if we do not enter by this gate. Jesus is the one that provides a gateway, a way out of this tortuous cycle. As I said earlier, it's a radical alternative. So why, oh why, do we spend so much time dwelling on these false gods? Well, have a look down with me, please, to verse 1, where it says, I tell you the truth, the man who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate, but climbs in by some other way, is a thief and a robber. This is describing the bad shepherd, that voice in our ear that we all listen to and give too much airtime and credence to. You see, our enemy is the devil, and he is a liar and a cheat. Lies are his way of communicating. But Jesus is the good shepherd who will lead us through the gate into security. Security from the lies of the world and security from ourselves and the poor choices we often make as sheep. So then, firstly, the security of salvation. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. Secondly, Jesus offers us the security of freedom. Have a look again at John 10 verse 9. He will come in and go out. What freedom that is. The Christian life, as some on the outside of the pen might assume, is a list, a miserable list even, of don'ts. Don't do this, don't do that. It is in fact complete freedom. Freedom from continually making the same mistakes. Freedom from the stronghold of the enemy seducing us, and freedom to know and worship our Creator God. It is truly liberating to be one of God's sheep. You see, he is the only true, decent, honest shepherd and guardian of our souls. All the other voices we hear, the tantalizing come hithers, are a sham. In home groups recently, we've been studying Philippians, and we thought a little bit about Paul's teaching on contentment. Not a fleeting, passing, temporary period of happiness that might come when we buy a new car, but a deep, forever, all-encompassing satisfaction that comes only when we've heard and responded to our shepherd's voice, the good shepherd's voice, and we've walked through that gate that Jesus invites us through. You might say, when we finally find the true meaning of our lives. This is what Paul says in his letter to the Philippians. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do everything through him who gives me strength. Now, I'm aware that this will be raw for some people, and I certainly don't want to be crass, but this is a promise for every believer. And I know some people in our church are experiencing some very difficult situations in their lives, and I don't want to trivialise. But the security of freedom that Jesus promises us here is life-changing. He will come in and go out. The guardian of our souls has saved us, and he now cares for us as we go about our lives. We've not been abandoned to muddle on through single-handedly. While I was on sabbatical earlier this year, living in Moscow, I saw some lives that looked rather appealing on the outside. Influential jobs in government or in business, or in Moscow, that might be confused actually. Meals in the finest restaurants, driven there in £200,000 bulletproof Mercedes. Trips to the Maldives at the drop of a hat. Armed guards, gardeners, nannies, governors, cleaners, chefs. Hunting lodges in the country. Chagall paintings on the wall. Indoor swimming pools and spas. And even the finest English tutor your money could buy. It was all very seductive on the outside. These people led attractive, glossy magazine type, charmed, beautiful lives. People who were masters of their own destinies. They were free. But live amongst this, acid tested, scratch the surface, as I was able to, and I saw broken, insecure people, both hiding and hurting. I saw dysfunctional families with hurt and baggage. I worked with some disturbed children, neglected, yet indulged at the same time. This is not liberty. It's imprisonment of our souls, and it's a sham. Yet our stupid, sheep-like mentality craves it. It is the voice of the bad shepherd, the thief and the robber of our souls, that tells us lies and tries to convince us that these things are really what we need to live full and free lives. We crave it because we think therein lies security and true freedom. But it is vacuous and empty. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in and go out. Jesus offers us the security of salvation, and secondly, he offers us complete freedom, and with this is godly contentment. Thirdly then, and much more briefly as Reuben would say, Jesus offers us the security of his provision. Again, have a look down at verse 9. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in and go out and find pasture. It's that last phrase, and find pasture, that helps us understand God's provision for those who have responded to his invitation to walk through the gate. Jesus provides for his sheep, and we will lack nothing if we walk through that gateway at his invitation. He will not fail to give us anything that we need. Probably not always what we want, those Maldives trips or the new kitchen, but anything that we need. Think of those sheep for just one moment. If you looked at them for more than just 2 seconds, they never seem to stop eating, pulling at the grass, chewing, swallowing all day long. A sheep wants for very little. I'm no farmer, please speak to Ollie afterwards, but I reckon you have a happy sheep if it feels safe from harm and has pasture. They are well provided for. Well, this is what Jesus offers, the security of his provision. We will have all that we need if we trust Jesus and decide to follow him. After all, he has saved us from deserved punishment. That is our greatest need, no? Salvation, freedom, and provision. Are these not the things that our souls truly long for? This is the radical offer of Jesus' invitation. Gates don't need to be gone through. We can turn around and head off somewhere else. That is our choice. But as I said earlier, this is not just for people who find themselves outside of Jesus' sheep pen. Believers need to make this decision anew each morning. Those voices in our ears do not stop shouting. It is a daily battle and a daily fight. But the corollary to this is it is also a daily invitation from Jesus to come and follow him and enjoy his salvation, freedom, and provision. And what joy! There is another famous gate or door in the Bible, this time in Revelation 3. And that says, "Here I am. I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will go in and eat with him and he with me." What a wonderful invitation that is. This well-known verse has been painted by William Holman Hunt, and it hangs in Oxford. It depicts Jesus on the outside of a cottage, knocking on an overgrown and long closed door. The door in the painting has no handle and can therefore only be opened from the inside, which is where we are. This is the rub, and this is the invitation to the non-believer and believer alike. Will we open that door from the inside, and will we accept Jesus' invitation to walk through the gate? If you accept this invitation, you will not be disappointed, because Jesus, the Good Shepherd, promises security of salvation, security of freedom, and security of provision. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in and go out